What if I told you that your brain holds a hidden key, one that could unlock limitless intelligence in just 24 hours? Not years of study, not decades of training. Just a single day. Sounds impossible, right? But stay with me, because what you're about to hear may change the way you see your own mind forever. For decades, scientists have tried to measure and explain intelligence. Some call it genetics. Others say it's shaped by education, environment, or memory. But there was one man who dared to go far beyond the limits of textbooks. A man who looked at the brain not just as a machine, but as a bridge to something greater, an invisible field that connects all of us. His name was Jacobo Grinberg. Grinberg was a Mexican neurophysiologist and psychologist, and his life's work still fascinates and puzzles experts today. While most researchers studied the brain like a computer, neuron firing, chemicals flowing, Grinberg went deeper. He asked bold questions. What if consciousness is not produced by the brain, but instead received by it? What if our intelligence is only limited because we are disconnected from a universal field of information? He wasn't afraid to explore the border between science and mysticism. He spent years studying with shamans in Mexico, learning ancient practices that most scientists dismissed as superstition. But to Grinberg, these practices were living experiments, evidence of a hidden structure in reality. He believed that shamans were able to tap into this structure, what he later described as the lattice, a vast energetic web that underlies everything we see, think, and feel. This was the foundation of his Syntergic Theory. According to Grinberg, the brain doesn't simply store data like a hard drive. Instead, it interacts with this lattice, shaping and filtering the raw potential of reality into the perceptions we call intelligence. That means the limits of your intelligence aren't set by biology alone. They're set by how deeply you can connect to this field. And here's where the story gets even more fascinating. Grinberg believed that with the right mental training, you could expand this connection dramatically and quickly. So imagine this. In just 24 hours, you begin shifting how your brain synchronizes, calming the noise inside your mind and focusing your intention on unlocking higher intelligence. What could happen? Could you solve problems faster? Could you remember details with more clarity? Could creativity pour out of you like never before? According to Grinberg's vision, the answer is yes, if you know how to tap into the hidden field around you. But here's the twist that makes his story almost cinematic. In 1994, at the peak of his research, Jacobo Grinberg mysteriously disappeared. No trace, no answers. To this day, no one knows exactly what happened. Some say it was foul play. Others whisper that his discoveries were too advanced, too dangerous, and he was silenced. A few even believe he may have crossed into the very dimension he described, a space beyond normal perception. Whatever the truth, his disappearance only adds weight to his life's work. It makes his theories feel less like speculation and more like a message that was never meant to be forgotten. And that's why this video matters, because today you'll learn not just who Jacobo Grinberg was, but the brain hack he hinted at, a method that, if practiced, could unlock intelligence you never imagined you had. This isn't about memorizing facts or forcing yourself to study harder. It's about tuning your mind into a deeper layer of reality. By the end of this video, you'll know the science behind it, the steps you can try in the next 24 hours, and why this may be the most important shift you ever make for your mind. So stay with me until the end, because each part builds on the last. If you leave halfway, you'll only hear fragments. But if you watch through, you'll understand how the pieces connect, science, consciousness, and the simple practices that can make this real in your life. Welcome to Awaken Synchronicity, the place where we explore the hidden powers of the mind, the mysteries of reality, and the teachings of visionaries like Jacobo Grinberg. If you want to keep unlocking the secrets of your consciousness and discover how to use them in your daily life, make sure to subscribe right now and hit that notification bell. That way, you won't miss the next journey into the unseen world of the mind. Before we talk about the brain hack itself, we first need to understand the theory behind it. Jacobo Grinberg was not a man who followed the ordinary path of neuroscience. While others studied the brain only as an organ, he dared to ask, what lies beneath our everyday perception of reality? His answer was something he called the Syntergic Theory, and at its heart was the concept of the lattice. The lattice, sometimes called pre-space, is not something you can see with your eyes or measure with simple instruments. It is an invisible energetic matrix that, according to Grinberg, underlies all of reality. Imagine a web stretched across the entire universe, connecting every point in space, every living being, every thought, and every possibility. This web is not empty. It holds the raw information of existence, the patterns that later appear in our minds as perceptions, ideas, or knowledge. Grinberg described this lattice as the true foundation of experience. We do not create reality out of nothing. Instead, our brains interact with this pre-existing field, translating it into what we see, hear, and understand. Think of it like a radio. The music already exists in the invisible waves around you, but without a radio tuned to the right frequency, you will hear nothing. In the same way, your brain acts as the receiver. It tunes into the lattice, shaping and filtering the endless flow of information into a personal reality. According to Grinberg, this is where intelligence comes from, not just the memorization of facts or problem-solving skills, but the very capacity to access information from the universal field. Every thought, every moment of clarity, every creative spark is not simply produced inside the skull. Instead, it is drawn, moment by moment, from the lattice. The more precise your brain's interaction with this field, the greater your intelligence appears. This is where the theory takes an extraordinary turn. Grinberg believed that the limits of human intelligence are not fixed. They are not walls built into our DNA. Instead, they depend on how strongly or how weakly our brains are coupled to the lattice. A weak connection means scattered thoughts, limited awareness, shallow perception. A strong connection means expanded intelligence, sharper focus, and the ability to perceive realities that others cannot even imagine. How does this coupling work? Grinberg explained that the brain generates fields of its own, electrical, magnetic, energetic, that resonate with the lattice. When these fields are scattered or out of sync, the connection is weak. But when the brain's hemispheres synchronize, when mental noise is reduced, and when intention is focused, the resonance becomes stronger. The brain then interacts with the lattice in a more direct, powerful way. In that moment, intelligence expands, not because the brain is doing more, but because it is tapping into more of what is already there. This idea finds echoes in both science and ancient traditions. On the scientific side, modern researchers still explore how consciousness may extend beyond the brain and how coherence in brainwave patterns leads to improved perception and learning. On the spiritual side, shamans and mystics have long spoken of invisible fields, of hidden layers of reality that can be accessed through ritual, meditation, or altered states. Grinberg did something radical. He brought these two worlds together, offering a framework where the mystical and the scientific could finally speak the same language. To picture the lattice more clearly, imagine a canvas stretched beneath reality. Every object, every thought, every event leaves its trace on this canvas. Your brain does not invent those traces, it illuminates them, like a flashlight sweeping across a hidden painting. What you see depends on where you shine the light and how bright that light is. Weak light, weak perception; strong light, expanded intelligence. The lattice holds all possibilities, but your brain decides how much of it you actually access. And this is where Grinberg's theory becomes practical. If intelligence is tied to our interaction with the lattice, then it can be trained, expanded, and unlocked. You are not limited by the size of your brain or the number of neurons firing at once. You are limited only by the depth of your connection to the field. Strengthen that connection, and you open the door to levels of intelligence that appear limitless. This perspective changes everything. Intelligence is no longer a fixed trait measured by IQ tests. It is a living relationship with the energetic structure of reality itself. Each of us carries within our skulls not just a brain, but an instrument capable of tuning into the deepest patterns of the universe. When that instrument is tuned correctly, the lattice responds and intelligence flows like a river without end. Why talk about 24 hours? Because when most people hear about expanding their intelligence, they imagine years of meditation, decades of practice, or a lifetime spent studying complex systems. They picture a slow climb, step by step, with no guarantee of success. Jacobo Grinberg challenged that assumption. He believed that under the right conditions, transformation could happen quickly, even within a single day. The reason is simple. Intelligence isn't something you build from scratch, it's something you access. The lattice is already here, surrounding you, waiting. All you need is alignment, synchronization, and focus. If you can bring your mind into harmony with that deeper structure, change doesn't have to take years. It can begin right now. This isn't about magic. It's not about waving a wand and becoming a genius overnight. It's about tuning an instrument. Your brain is that instrument, and the lattice is the music. If your brain is out of tune, you hear nothing but noise. If you bring it into balance, the hidden symphony of reality starts to play. That is why 24 hours is enough, because tuning can happen in moments of focus. And once the shift begins, you notice the difference almost immediately. The first step in this process is synchronization between the two hemispheres of the brain. The left hemisphere, often linked with logic, language, and analysis. The right hemisphere, often linked with creativity, intuition, and spatial awareness. Most of the time, people favor one side over the other. They get stuck in patterns of linear thought or lost in imagination without grounding. But when both sides of the brain work together in coherence, something remarkable happens. Your perception widens, your thinking deepens, and your ability to process information accelerates. Synchronizing the hemispheres doesn't require advanced machines or years of training. It can begin with simple breathing techniques. Inhale slowly through one nostril, exhale through the other, alternating in rhythm. This practice, drawn from both yogic traditions and modern neuroscience, helps balance the flow of energy across both sides of the brain. Guided focus also works, listening to sounds that shift between the left and right ear, or using binaural tones designed to bring the hemispheres into harmony. Even closing your eyes and visualizing energy moving equally between the two sides of your head can begin to create this state of coherence. The effect is subtle at first. You might notice clearer thoughts, smoother flow of ideas, or a sense that logic and intuition are no longer fighting each other. Instead, they begin to complement, weaving together into a higher form of intelligence. This state primes the brain for something greater. It prepares it to interact with the lattice. But synchronization alone is not enough. The next step is quieting the noise of the mind. Most people live with a constant stream of chatter inside their heads. Worries, opinions, random memories, mental rehearsals of conversations that may never happen. All of this mental noise acts like static, blocking the signal from the lattice. To connect deeply, you must reduce these filters. Quieting the noise doesn't mean forcing thoughts to disappear. It means creating spaces where thoughts are no longer the master. Short sessions of silence can make a difference. Just 5 minutes of sitting without distractions, breathing deeply, and observing without judgment. Meditative pauses throughout the day help as well. Instead of filling every empty moment with scrolling, speaking, or planning, allow yourself brief intervals of nothingness. These spaces create openings, cracks in the wall of constant thought. Another technique is objectless attention. Normally, attention is hooked onto objects. Your phone, a conversation, an idea. Try shifting your attention to attention itself. Notice the act of awareness without clinging to what is being observed. This subtle shift reduces the filters that shape and distort perception. When those filters soften, the raw flow of information from the lattice can come through more clearly. With synchronization and silence in place, the next step is intention. The lattice contains everything, every possibility, every potential outcome. To navigate it, you must choose a direction. This is where focused intention and visualization come in. Once your mind is quiet and balanced, you direct your awareness toward a clear goal. Unlocking intelligence, expanding clarity, accelerating learning. The clearer the frame of your intention, the more the lattice responds. Visualization strengthens this process. Imagine your mind as a vast light bulb, glowing brighter with each breath. See yourself absorbing patterns of knowledge, solving problems with ease, connecting ideas that once seemed distant. Feel the sensation of insight rushing through you, like water breaking through a dam. The more vividly you can experience this in your imagination, the more your brain tunes itself to that reality. In Grinberg's view, the lattice does not distinguish between imagination and direct experience. Both are interactions with the same field. That is why intention must be vivid, precise, and filled with emotion. It shapes the resonance between your brain and the lattice. Then comes the stage most people overlook: feedback. Too often we try a practice once and dismiss it when nothing dramatic happens. Grinberg suggested that subtle shifts are the real signs of deeper contact with the lattice. After setting your intention, begin observing what insights appear unexpectedly. Do you find yourself solving problems faster than usual? Do flashes of intuition arise where before there was confusion? These signals may be small, but they matter. To strengthen the connection, record these signals. Keep a journal during the 24 hours. Every hour, pause and note what you feel, what you think, what new connections appear. Don't expect fireworks. Look for the quiet changes, the gentle widening of perception, the subtle clarity of thought. Over time, these small signals grow into undeniable patterns. The key is not to force results. Forcing closes the channel. Instead, allow the lattice to respond naturally. Think of it as a conversation. You make your request through synchronization, silence, and intention. Then you listen. If you are patient, the reply comes, sometimes in whispers, sometimes in waves. This process, synchronization, quieting, intention, feedback, can all begin within 24 hours. You don't need to retreat to a monastery or wait for years of practice. The shift starts as soon as your brain begins to resonate with the deeper structure of reality. That is why the promise of one day is not an exaggeration. It is the natural result of tuning your mind to the field that has always been present, waiting for you to notice it. When you begin this practice, the first steps might feel like a clear shift. You synchronize the hemispheres, you calm the noise, you direct intention, and you begin to sense the feedback. But if you want that connection to deepen across the full 24 hours, you cannot stop after one session. The key is maintenance. The mind is like a river. It naturally flows back into old patterns, back into distraction and noise. To sustain the link with the lattice, you must return again and again to small practices that keep you aligned. Think of it as mini synchronizations spread across your day. These do not need to be long. A single deep breath, held for a few seconds and then released slowly, can restore balance between the hemispheres. A minute of silence with closed eyes can quiet the noise before it grows too loud. Even pausing for just 10 seconds, placing your attention on the crown of your head or the center of your forehead, can bring you back into awareness of the field. These small resets are like tuning a guitar. Even after you've played a song perfectly, strings loosen and sound drifts. Without tuning, music turns into noise. Your brain is the same. It needs regular retuning throughout the day to stay in harmony. As you practice, watch carefully for the return of internal chatter. It will creep back, old biases, habitual thoughts, repetitive worries. They will all try to pull you out of the expanded state. This is not a failure, it is natural. The human brain has been conditioned for years, maybe decades, to run on certain loops. One day of practice won't erase that conditioning completely, but the moment you notice the noise returning, you already hold power. Awareness itself is the reset button. The act of noticing the chatter loosens its grip, giving you the chance to realign. Quick rituals are powerful tools in these moments. Some people use a simple mantra repeated 3 times. Others snap their fingers, touch their heart, or place a hand over their chest as a physical anchor. A brief visualization of light flooding the brain can be enough to push away the fog and restore clarity. What matters is not the ritual itself, but the fact that it interrupts the drift and re-establishes focus. Over time, these resets create a rhythm. The day becomes a cycle of alignment, release, and realignment, each time deepening your connection to the lattice. Yet, even with practice, it's important to face the truth. None of this is guaranteed. The science behind Jacobo Grinberg's work is still speculative. His Syntergic Theory is not widely accepted by mainstream neuroscience. In academic circles, you will hear skepticism, even dismissal. Many researchers argue that his ideas about the lattice and pre-space cannot be proven with current tools, and therefore belong more to philosophy than science. If you search his name, you will find as many critics as admirers. This is why it is vital to adjust expectations. You are not performing a miracle. You are not turning yourself into an instant genius, capable of memorizing libraries in a single night. What you are doing is exploring the potential of your own brain, experimenting with the way it connects to a deeper structure of reality. For some, the results may feel immediate and profound. For others, the changes may be subtle, small sparks that grow only with repetition. Skepticism is not an enemy here. In fact, it can help. Doubt keeps you grounded, preventing you from falling into blind belief. Grinberg himself encouraged rigorous testing, observation, and balance between open exploration and critical thought. He did not claim to hold final answers. Instead, he offered a framework to be tested by those willing to practice. That is the spirit you must carry: curious, cautious, open, but not naive. So what might success actually look like within these 24 hours? Do not expect lightning bolts of enlightenment. Look instead for the small shifts. You may notice that problems which felt tangled suddenly appear simple, as if the knots untied themselves in your mind. You might see connections between ideas that were once separate, threads weaving together into a new picture. Your thoughts may feel lighter, more fluid, moving not in a straight line but in flowing patterns. Creativity may come in waves, not forced, but natural. There may also be moments of clarity so sharp that they feel like stepping into new air, a sense of expansion in your chest, as if the mind itself has grown larger. A quiet calm beneath the surface of thought, like deep water under gentle waves. These signs are subtle, but they are the true markers of progress. They show that your brain is tuning more strongly to the lattice, that your intelligence is no longer just working from its own limits, but drawing from a wider field of possibility. Remember, too, that the experience may not be the same for everyone. Some may feel a rush of energy, others may feel only calm or a new ease in solving daily tasks. Some may not notice much in the first 24 hours at all. But when they repeat the practice over days and weeks, patterns of change become clear. This is why patience is as important as intensity. The field is always there, but each mind has its own way of meeting it. Now comes the most important part: trying it for yourself. Knowledge alone does not create change. Reading about the lattice will not synchronize your brain. Watching others describe it will not quiet your noise. Only practice can reveal what is possible. That is why you are invited to use this 24-hour protocol, not as an idea, but as an experiment. Begin with synchronization, move into silence, set intention, observe feedback, and maintain with resets throughout the day. Track what happens carefully, Keep a journal by your side. Every hour, write a line or two about how you feel, what you notice, what insights come. Do not judge the entries as big or small. Treat them as signals, traces of how your mind is shifting. Over the course of the day, you may begin to see patterns that were invisible before. Small changes add up, and when the 24 hours end, don't stop there. One day is enough to spark the process. But the real transformation comes with repetition. Each time you practice, the connection grows stronger. The lattice responds more clearly. Intelligence begins to expand, not just in moments, but as a steady background presence in your life. The more you train, the more natural it becomes, until the state of expanded awareness is no longer something you try to reach. It is simply who you are. If at first you notice nothing, do not quit. That is the old habit speaking, the impatience of the modern mind demanding instant results. Return to the practice, refine your synchronization, deepen your silences, sharpen your intentions. Intelligence is not a race, it is a relationship. You are learning how to listen to reality itself, and like all relationships, it requires patience, respect, and consistency. Throughout this journey, carry one truth with you. Your brain is not an isolated island. It is part of something greater, a living instrument woven into the fabric of the universe. Whether science can yet prove it or not, the experience is yours to test. The lattice is there, waiting, whether you choose to connect or not. The only question is how deeply you are willing to align, how far you are willing to go in tuning your mind to its hidden music. And so, with each breath, each pause, each intention, you take another step closer to that state Jacobo Grinberg described, a state where intelligence flows not from effort alone, but from the infinite field that surrounds us all. You've just taken a journey into one of the boldest and most fascinating ideas about the human mind. We began with a simple yet powerful promise that in just 24 hours you can begin to unlock new levels of intelligence. Not by cramming your brain with endless information, not by forcing yourself into routines of stress and exhaustion, but by learning to tune into something deeper. The lattice, the invisible field of information that Jacobo Grinberg believed underlies all of reality. Grinberg's Syntergic Theory tells us that the brain is not an isolated machine. It is not a box generating thoughts out of nothing. Instead, it is an instrument, a receiver, a translator of a much greater field. The lattice, or pre-space, as he called it, is like an energetic web that holds every possibility, every idea, every connection. Your intelligence depends not only on the neurons inside your head, but also on how well those neurons resonate with this hidden matrix. The stronger the connection, the more reality opens itself to you. The weaker the connection, the more limited your perception becomes. That is why the 24-hour practice is so important. When you align your brain hemispheres, when you quiet the noise, when you set your intention with clarity and watch for feedback, you are not creating intelligence out of thin air. You are uncovering what was always there. You are tuning the radio of your mind to pick up a clearer signal. And as that signal strengthens, intelligence flows naturally. Insights come faster, creativity feels effortless, and awareness expands beyond what you thought possible. This is not about magic, and it is not about instant genius. It is about training your brain to interact more deeply with reality itself. Even mainstream science, though skeptical of Grinberg's full vision, agrees on one thing: coherence in the brain leads to sharper perception, better problem-solving, and more powerful creativity. Where Grinberg went further was in saying that coherence does more than improve function. It opens the door to a whole new level of intelligence, one that is not limited to the brain alone, but connected to the very fabric of existence. So as you finish this video, remember, your brain already holds the capacity. You don't need to add anything new, you only need to tune in. Imagine it like light streaming through a window. The light has always been there, but until you pull back the curtains, you cannot see it. Grinberg's theory is the hand that pulls those curtains aside. The practice you've learned here today is the way you begin to let the light in. If you feel curious, if you feel inspired, then try it for yourself. Give it just one day. Synchronize, quiet, focus, and observe. See what happens when you treat your brain not just as an organ, but as a bridge to the lattice of reality. Even the smallest shift, a new idea, a sudden clarity, a fresh sense of calm, can be the beginning of a lifelong transformation. And here's the most empowering part. You do not need permission. You do not need expensive tools. You do not need years of waiting. The path is open right now. Your brain might already be touching that limitless field. The only step left is to unlock it. If you found value in this journey, if these ideas sparked something inside you, then help us share this message. Like this video, leave us a comment about your own experiences with expanding your mind, and most importantly, subscribe to our channel, Awaken Synchronicity. Together we are building a community that dares to look beyond the surface, that believes in the untapped power of the human mind, and that takes inspiration from visionaries like Jacobo Grinberg. So subscribe, stay connected, and keep exploring. Because intelligence isn't just what you know, it's what you are capable of accessing. And the truth is, you already hold the key. All that remains is to unlock it.